There's a new warning for high school students who are heading to college and are still trying to find tuition or grant money. This is the time when scammers like to strike. This morning, Cynthia Albert with the Better Business Bureau is in with more on how the scam works. And there's a scam for everything these days.
Absolutely, Eric. It's a shame, but that's what we're faced with nowadays.
And does this hit normally at this time of year when people are waiting to the last minute to try and get money?
We see more of it, indefinitely. And of course, you know, these young people are eager to get their scholarship or grant.
Because college has gotten so expensive.
You know it. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So when somebody tells them, you know, you've won this scholarship or grant, and they use the words like national or federal, they really tend to believe it.
So, and these are usually calls that are unsolicited. You haven't gone
Yes.
out looking for something.
Yes, or it could be a pop-up, anything like that. Just be careful, because they are coming out of the woodwork at this time of the year.
All right, what are some of the things we should be, or at least the students who are looking for money should be looking for?
You know, you have to realize that if they start using high pressure, that you just want to step
Like you
back.
have to do it right now, or
This is it. Today is the day. Now, how can you win something if you haven't really applied for it?
right.
And a lot of people don't realize that. The only free way to fill out an application is to go online. Actually, call is probably better at 1-800-4FED-AID, and we'll have that on our website. And you do that.
And that's a service that tells you if you've gotten something, or
Yeah, you can apply for it that
okay,
way.
all
It's
right.
not a guarantee.
So that's an actual application process.
Yeah, yeah.
On a reputable site.
Absolutely. So that is the way to do it. You want to take your time.
And there are a bunch of things that are dead giveaways. I mean, when these scammers call, they always want money up front. They want personal information, things that normally you wouldn't ask. I mean, what would an actual reputable company ask for?
Well, first of all, you're going to contact them.
Okay, so they don't just call you out of the blue.
Yeah,
they're not
going
offering
to
free
call.
money yet.
No, no, no. That's not going to happen. You call them, you fill out an application. You can see that it is real that way. You can call the Better Business Bureau. We'll counsel you on that. But if you just get this unsolicited call or pop-up and everybody's going to give you this money and you didn't apply for it, you have to be real careful, because they will go ahead and steal your money. They're going to ask for the money up front, and nothing ever materializes.
And again, whether it's a student loan or anything else, if they ask for money up front or personal information, that's a dead giveaway.
You
All right,
know
Cynthia,
it.
thank you for coming
Thank
in.
you,
Appreciate
Eric.
that. Remember, you can always check in with the Better Business Bureau if you have any doubt about some call you've gotten. Their number is 581-6222, or we have a link to their website on our website at WWLTV.com.